more Dota 2 to carry you away on this beautiful. What day of the week is it, gentlemen? Is it Wednesday? Is it Thursday?
Friday.
It's Thursday. It's beautiful.
Sunday.
Friday.
It's
Thursday.
the weekend.
It depends where you are in the world to know what day it is. The weekend is coming up, and we got a lot of Dota 2 on the horizon. Boys, welcome back, Lacoste. Fresh.
These feelings are waiting for you to come back. Amazing feelings are waiting for you to explore again once the world is ready. Until we meet again. Amazing Thailand.
Div 1, it's that kind of the beauty of excellence, and then you jump to Div 2, and it's just like, wow, this is just a wild great. But no, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I guess on the note of Div 2, we should maybe make mention that 5 men have disbanded. Shout out to Tigo for tweeting that yesterday. When you tweeted that, by the way, I legit thought that was just a bad joke. I thought that was some sort of like Dungeon of April Fool's Day that I wasn't aware of, because I just couldn't imagine that team falling apart in the middle of a group stage. But they're done. They default lost on all their matches, and we've now got 9 teams left.
It's unfortunate for the lads, but it's just one of those things where you think that you have the right mindset, and then once you start getting into it, you realize that everyone's not really subscribed to kind of the same idea. And yeah, I think best for the players to kind of part ways when that kind of came into play. And of course, like sticking it out, that would be the respectful thing. But again, they just weren't in that position to want to continue. So yeah, it's healthy for the slot is now been kind of lost for the qualified teams. Well,
and I also get it because as a player-run org, like, you don't really know what the future is going to be like. So you kind of have to accept every invitation, even if you know things are a little shaky or a little rocky. You might work through it.
And that's the key thing that people aren't really aware of, right? It's like this wasn't something that just happened like a month ago, right? And it's like, oh, okay, let's play one game and leave, right? It's the realization that, all right, this just isn't working. Like, we aren't really turning up to want to practice and stuff. So the difference between it is difficult. But again, it's unfortunate. It does happen, but you have to look to be the guys
versus 404, just error. Then we've got Viking GG versus Mudgolems. That should be a big one. And then final. The end of today. But to get things started, VP just error. This should be a good one.
Oh, for sure. You have Solo playing against his former organization. In the interview, he said, like, the team, we communicate, find the direction in which we want to play. Like, we don't prepare any surprises, the regular us. Like, every day we play and understand meta better, feeling good. And on the other side, you have Epileptic Kid who said, I won't say for everyone, but for me personally, it will be a feel any responsibility. The team has a great vibe. We already know each other well, and everyone's just, comfortable playing together. So pretty chill in both of these squads, I would say. But I think there's much more squad, like, to prove that, they are the team that deserves to be called Virtus.pro. On the other side, you have Solo, who heading for Virtus.pro, getting a lot of those grand finals, like dominating the scene for quite a long time.
Hungry for a big result. We saw them in Omega League. It was that older roster that Solo was still on really well. In that event, they ended up getting eliminated by Liquid in the lower bracket round 1. So this would be a big event for Virtus.pro. A lot to prove, like you said. Tiga, have any expectations coming into this series? Who do you value as the favorite coming into this one?
Virtus.pro as the favorite, just because when you look at their track record, they as a team, they didn't really appear in a lot of tournaments over the last months, mainly because of that shift to online play, and obviously tournament organizers weren't allowing teams, like 2 teams from VP would always go for the big team, right? The VP that was the solo squad. So we saw this prodigy lineup not really get kind of the screen time that they would deserve. Really, they were a team that was playing equally up to Secret. Of course, they weren't able to pick them in the grand final. That was when Secret was in their main dominance, but I think the kind of hunger, I think the new VP is clearly there, and you kind of can play on the interview that Sumo had as well, which is like they're a stack that kind of just playing gods, and then you compare that to like a newly picked up main VP roster. I think again that the hunger will be on both teams, but I do favor VP a lot.
Lacoste, do you concur here, or are you more leaning on 404? Or are you flipping coins on this one?
I think Virtus.pro, the main squad right now, that they are very dominant and stable team, where like they know what everyone needs to do in the game. They have expectations. I think the future is very bright for the guys. On the other side, this is not a team like you have some big names, but they could also end up, but for Virtus.pro, I feel like this is a stable squad that's just going to state and can great results in the future.
Right, Lacoste, you can word it better. You can just say they will pick kicks. I mean, everyone knows that if this doesn't work out, Sumail's first on the block, unfortunately.
Because of the ping, Sumail's going to get kicked.
Exactly. That is literally it, yeah.
But guys, he's been waking up early. He's been showing up for interviews. He's the first in the lobby. Are you telling me that those brownie points don't matter? It's all about, well, he can't deny creeps in lane, though, because of the ping. So get this kid the fuck out of here.
Himself, I keep the range. I don't
he
deny.
can't
I play
deny
the
creeps
mid.
mid with ranged heroes. We can't have this kid on our lineup. It's just not going to work.
Oh my, that's why you play so much Pugna, because you just decrypt and then
Exactly.
you don't have
That
to
is the big brain play. Teams.
Oh man, they have to fight for the. Oh my.
It's genius. Sumail can handle denying mid. It is something to keep in mind, though. Memes aside, like 130, 140 ping in the mid lane, it really is significant. I appreciate Sumail for being honest with us and hitting us with the like. Yeah, I'm not playing Drow mid, guys. I don't expect to see that one. It's not coming out anytime soon.
I mean,
I think we do have a draft coming, by the way.
Yeah, when we talk about the ping, people, it's always like an excuse. They lost, he has a big ping. But for me personally, like if I have like 35 ping and if I have 60 ping, like I can clearly see the difference. I can only imagine what it's like, to blink. It's just, too much. But we got to give him credit, just for
well, you can experience this, Lacoste. Just queue up a few pubs on US West.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Just being in EU, playing EU pubs. Like I experienced in the past couple of NA pubs, and
yeah,
it's a combination, right?
Yeah, it's just you get kind of tired of it real quick.
Yeah, my go-to if I'm playing like I have a couple friends in Southeast Asia, and occasionally I'll queue with them. I play Ogre. Ogre's my go-to. It's like you're throwing stuns, you're throwing bloodlust. You don't feel the ping that bad playing a position 5 Ogre. That's my little tip for
quick cast.
I'm not a quick cast kind of guy, but that's a good idea. That's a good way to win the ping battle. I like that.
There we go.
All right, so there it is. We do have a draft underway. Just Error with the first Lena ban into an undying ban from VP. Quick reminder, we've only seen VP in one series this group stage. It was actually the very first series that opened the groups. They went 2-0 against OG pretty convincingly. OG didn't look great in that series. It was 2 30-minute games, and both games, VP picked Magnus, Void, and Enchantress. So clearly prioritizing that heavy team fight.
Yeah, it's just one of those series where OG doesn't want to ban out like the key hero on VP, and they want to play into it. I think it happened against Secret as well when they tried picking Huskar twice in a row, the same style. But no, I think I love this just the respect that Just Error show, which is it is the Void, which was the key component. Even if you look back when VP played on the Prodigy, it was always the Void and the Magnus were the two top heroes. So.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. This
All
is
right.
definitely not the hero that I expected. This draft
That's
going
speed
so
running.
quickly, They have 2 strength heroes. We're just going to pick Timbersaw against that. But, Omni Knight, definitely not the hero that I expected. Like, we saw one Omni Knight in the
Who
last
was it?
week. I'm not sure who picked it. Mudgolems? Okay.
Fata, yeah.
Yeah,
Position 5.
and we had, what did we have? Like, we had Team Secret playing that hero like 2-3 months ago, I think during Omega League, and that's pretty much it. And now he's first phased, so I'm really surprised to see what they're going to do with it.
Mudgolems played this Game 3 versus Error on day 1. And they had a Sven, Viper, Earth Spirit, Omni Knight, Ember Spirit lineup. And they did win that game against Error. Interesting. So now Error, they've learned a thing or two. They're like, yo, I think I want to play the Omni Knight.
Get me a bit of this Omni in. And yeah, it's like a hero that we don't really see too much. I think if you want to look more towards reasoning why it might be picked up more, it's just because these early fights, you have to think about, okay, how are we stopping this Omni from enabling that one core? And it is very much about pushing forward. So yeah, I don't mind the idea of it coming into play, but we have to look towards this Timbersaw, and it is automatically, on paper a good Timbersaw game just because of the 2 strength, especially if it is a position 5 Omni with the Sven. You're not going to stop this guy.
Could it be a position 3 Omni? Is there any chance this is for no one?
Potentially, for sure. 100%.
Okay.
I want to see for Virtus.pro something with a dispel. Like the Omni Knight's one of the best, team fighting heroes in the game. It's hard to execute, and like having GA is like just winning you a team fight. So I want to see either Oracle or Enchantress being picked up by Virtus.pro.
I like that. Dispel, very handy. They do grab the Juggernaut though. Weird. Okay. Isn't Jug generally like pretty bad against Omni for everything you just mentioned, Lacoste? Like GA, pretty good counter against Omni Slash.
Yeah, he is. I mean, Lifestealer's banned, definitely a hero that I would expect, to be picked up against Sven. Sven has this timing where he just feels like the strongest hero in the game, but once Lifestealer gets like 3rd, 4th item, it's just a better matchup for a Lifestealer, and another save for Just Error, Shadow Demon.
Okay.
This is a good counter, the Juggernaut, where you have a save during the Omni Slash, you have a damage, you have the Soul Catcher against the Timbersaw, something that he doesn't like to play into.
So, wow, these picks are really fast. Now, Punk for Just Error. Why Crystal Maiden over Enchantress? That is my burning question right now, because I agree about Enchantress versus Omni. Having any Dispel is good. I also like Ench. I'm surprised to see CM.
But look towards less of the lane and more about the idea of what VP is drafting. They've got a Timbersaw that should be having a good lane no matter where he goes.
Yep.
And it's all about this desire to constantly look for fights. If you're running into Omni's Knight support, you like to play a little bit slower, and for these kind of big, like objective-based fights. So Crystal Maiden with the Aura, it does give Timbersaw, it gives Tiny this ability to stay in lane and just non-stop kind of exist.
The thing about it is they just might try lane, Tiny, he gets level 2 with the Timbersaw, leaves him solo XP, and then they run aggressive tri lane. And the Tiny, one of the reasons why they picked Puck is because he can, dodge Tiny's ganks, because they know Tiny will be that guy moving around the map trying to make stuff happen. So I think it's a good idea coming up from Just Error. I'm a bit afraid of, this Juggernaut, how much of a game he's going to have. Sven,
and isn't Puck just another tool against Jug? So now that he can't just spin TP like anywhere he wants to, you got to worry about
There are 4 heroes that like playing against Juggernaut right now on Just Error's side, just to make sure that's very clear. But they are also 4 heroes that don't like playing into an early Juggernaut if it's around the right team.
Yeah, but these heroes, like in the mid game, Juggernaut does not have a clear target to use Omni Slash on. This is what I'm afraid of. Like Sven's just gonna pop a Warcry for the team, buff him up with the armor. Shadow Demon has a save, Puck with the phase shift. So they think it's an offlaner that they need, and I believe that's Lashrak for the king, right?
Most likely.
I think so.
Puck
so is it offlane Puck, and then it is that 5 Omni. Okay.
I love when teams, Jug is a very strong laner, and you want to have a hero that, can pressure Juggernaut, but also that you can't die to him.
Viper.
No one's ever happy to see the Viper. So it's offlane Puck. Yep. Okay, cool. Position 5 Omni.
It's an interesting Viper pick. I wouldn't say it's like an obvious Viper game. There isn't like a great break counter. It's not the Viper versus Spectre, but still seems pretty solid here. They needed somebody to just plant in the team fight.
But it's all about that clump that they're going to look towards. They're going to be able to group up together, pressure. They can take towers with Juggernaut. They can take Roshan. And we spoke a lot about how it's a hard Jug game, but I still think the objective timings that Jug provides will still be present, and he'll rely on his team to really output the damage, and he himself will be annoying to deal with because, again, it's a Juggernaut. He might not have Omni Slash damage, but the healing ward's going to be insane value to keep that Viper alive. And Just Error, their early damage, where is it? Like, they don't actually have this big explosive damage.
Just providing aura for Tiny and Timbersaw, something they really need. Same goes for Viper, and even though it's not a best Juggernaut game, I feel like they can play role over Just Error.
Gotcha. All right. Well, folks, remember you can find the odds for the winning teams from our partner EGB by clicking the banner below the stream. Get at it, folks. We've got a lot of Dota coming up today, and now we've got two beautiful casters to take it away. Killer Pigeon, Pycat, how we doing over there? You ready for some big dose?
Your last move.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Zara. You called us pretty, Pycat. I mean, I don't think it's as pretty as the particle effects that's going to be coming out of 404's draft this game, because what a difference! We're seeing Omni Knight again, a hero that we barely get to ever see anymore.
Sorry, yeah, okay. This hero actually, it feels like it's a bit on the rise, maybe in pubs and stuff. Especially kind of this the Sven Omni Knight combo. Obviously, the additional strength plus the heavenly grace is very beneficial kind of for Sven. Get more damage and you become even harder to deal with. You know, especially once you reach this axe.
You might wish to retract.
Yeah,
your
it
last
also
move.
seemed like it was just bound to start to crop up again with the resurgence of Leshrac, right? Actually, the Omni together, because what's the downside of the Lesh is usually this kind of magical glass cannon.
Yeah, no, I mean there's nice synergy between a lot of the heroes on the 404 draft here. At the same time, I kind of like VP here. They've got something. It's a very quick draft. I think something that's kind of nice to see about these teams is that, you know, the drafts are generally quite cohesive. It just makes the Dota more fun to watch.
Yeah, the way you just when the best Dota is when we see the teams focus on how they can maximize their own draft instead of getting obsessed in, oh, we're going to counterpick this hero. We're gonna match up better on that lane. It's instead look at how these teams come together, because like 404, they've got these good saves. They've got these kind of strong resets in terms of stopping damage. And then BP, I like how with the Viper and the Juggernaut, they've kind of gone for their own attritional warfare, where like, okay, you're trying to tick us down over time, but we can match that. We've got a Viper, we've got this healing ward, we've got this Timber Sword.
Yeah, I also like the fact that we've got like so many interesting matchups here. We've got, you know, Epileptic Kid who used to play with these VP guys. You know, down there they're playing against him. There's GPK and Sumail, both former EG mid laners. There's you know, there's Sumail versus GPK. There's, I don't know, it's just a lot of interesting matchups here. You know, between these players. Solo Rams is back at it with their safe lane, as if nothing ever happened. You know, it's good to see.
Yeah, I love that you raise that. It's kind of something we sometimes forget, because the players, like over the years, have shifted around. And at this point, it feels like almost every player has played every other player, at least if you're in mid-20s or above.
Yeah, no, pretty exactly. And something we were talking a bit about this Timber, like against these melee heroes, right? Like you see this Omni Knight, he's just going first spell, he goes Heavenly Grace, and when you do this, you don't really have to care that much about this Whirling Death. You know, it's gonna be removed pretty quickly. The whatchamacallit, the status
Whirling
resist. It removes the spell quite quickly. So
Yeah, also you can dispel it, right? Because it comes with a strong dispel on cast. So overall, Timber shouldn't be the most worrisome of people. Solo, definitely no stranger to Omni Knight. I'd say he was like one of the more memorable POS 5 Omni Knight players over the years.
yeah, something that might be a bit worrisome though is this mid lane. It's a very I think difficult lane kind of for Leshrac. Initially, you know, Viper's very strong with this poison attack. Sumail off to not an amazing start here, just right away. Of course, GPK kind of dominating the early levels. It might even out a little bit as we go further, but a pretty rough start for Sumail so far.
Yeah, it's, like GPK, it's a bit surprising. Most people would have expected the Proceed spin, right? Because you're up against all this magical damage. But I guess against Leshrac, and he's a glass cannon, so if you just keep whittling away with the poison attacks, he can never trade effective.
I think the whole idea, I mean, I'm not really, you know, I'm not a mid laner at the level these guys are, but from what I understand, it's you nether tox in the first wave, and you kind of push the wave, and you get to your level 2, you start kind of harassing the Lesh. And also now with the CM on his team, you know, he can continuously spam both nether toxin and the poison attack. So
He has finally got 1 point corrosive skin. I guess like just for the 1 point, it's pretty high value, right? Because it just makes sure Sumail can never trade.
yeah, it's just for the slow and the magic resist and everything. And you see GPK, he's really bullying Sumail here. Every chance he gets, he just keeps the poison attacks going, and Sumail is struggling to get to his bottle. He's somewhat low on mana, so it's gotta be a little bit rough for him to get to this.
It might get
The
rough
other
up.
lane's
Look at
kind
save.
of quiet, and yeah, saved here in the mid lane.
Yep. Good rotation. Avalanche toss into the Nevertoxin, and it looks like the first blood is going to go the way of GPK.
I actually think it was not the worst thing that could happen for Sumail. Of course, you know, his lane, it's looking very rough already. You know, he's already down about 1,000 gold to the Viper, but he gets to, even now with this courier, he's gonna get to his bottle. And he'll come back and, you know, eventually he'll start farming the jungle. But the VP are doing a really good job so far at kind of controlling these lanes.
Yeah, it's almost like Zaz just sitting there. He's like, well, I died for that on purpose, because if he didn't get that courier snipe, Sumail would have been a little bit short on the gold, so he would have to have waited around or sell the fairy fire.
Yeah, and Sumail, they're very conscious decision. He decides to just deny the Radiant Rune. He understands that if he goes for it, Savis is going to come in and kill him. GPK now with the boots keeps just going at this Viper, at this Leshrac. It's a very difficult position for Sumail to be in here.
Well, I was just going to say, we're seeing a different build of the Viper as well, right? Because we keep seeing these boosts of travel Vipers all the time, but it looks like GPK is a bigger fan of the treads.
Yeah, I'm personally not a really big fan of these Boots of Travel. I feel like it's a very greedy item. It's a 2,000 gold investment into nothing, basically. I mean, of course, you get a lower cooldown, but I think I much prefer this. It just gives you a stronger early timing, which lets you kind of bully your enemy team. And Savis being a very big nuisance for Sumail here. I think Sumail kind of needs some sort of backup in terms of, you know, sending solo there, which is gonna make Ramses' life a little bit more difficult. You could potentially say put the SD there, but you gotta help out this Leshrac a little bit somehow, because he's having such a rough start.
Yeah, it makes you wonder where it's going to happen. It's so fast save. It's not just the mid lanes, the bot lanes we just saw. He snipes out the support so easily. It's just back and forth. It feels like VP's cores are all self-sustained at this point, right? Like the Jug is past the hard point lane, hits a Tinder on the top, and this Viper's out of control. In on the mid lane, Sumail in trouble, is going to fall. The save rotates in with the Avalanche cross combo.
Yeah, they keep just making these rotations. You know, even the CM there, making his life incredibly miserable.
Yeah, and of course, you know, Safe's always going to have mana as well because he has that CM, right? So you just got these tranks, and it's never. It doesn't feel like the times where we see Tiny has to chill, buy some extra clarities. He hasn't got the mana. He's almost always going to be up and ready to kill someone.
And the GPK, I think he actually went for the bottle instead of these treads here. By the looks of things.
Well, GPK already had the ball. It was just a matter of changing his mind what he wants to do next. Stun coming out, the rotation, Viper is going to fall here. They will find solo in response, but it's after the fact. Much needed kill for Sumail.
Yeah, for sure. It's unfortunate that he doesn't really get the kill there. And I'm curious about this 211 gold only for the Shadow Demon. I feel like it should be a lot more, but that is the game we're in right now. But I'm just curious what happened to GPK. He had already treads. Maybe he invested into one and something else. He just had a lot of gold for the treads. And...
Yeah, I think it was the one. Nice kill on Puck Spotlight. Because when the regen room was there and Sumail denied it, that was when GPK was down to one bot. So I assume he stopped off for the one, but he's now going for the ATOS. So he's just kind of fully fixated on how can I keep people in this Nevertox. Because I guess you could say VP, not all their heroes have great tools for keeping people still in fight.
No, they're a little bit light on stuns. Just adding an additional kind of cancellation for the ports, just making it a little bit more tanky, some added mana.
Oh,
just
one. Like, he just got back. That was 5 seconds in and then just gone.
Yeah, VPR, they're putting on a lot of pressure in this early game. I think I want to say that VP is 404, but obviously they're not. They're the old VP, are most of them. They're 404. They're gonna rely quite a bit on this Sven having a good time. Also, you see this very big ancient stack, which is already spotted by this Radiant War.